Alright, so today is August the 17th, and Alien Romulus just released in my theater yesterday. So I went last night, me and my wife went, or probably around 10 o'clock, I believe. We got out about midnight. So I just wanted to give some of my thoughts on it, my first impressions, because I have a tendency to kind of forget stuff, the longer I don't have the best memory. So I just figured I would stop and kind of talk about it while it's still fresh on my mind. I was going to say, so obviously I don't have it on DVD yet. I plan to get it on probably Blu-ray or DVD, whatever I can find and whatever's, more reasonably priced. I don't really care anymore, but I do have the Alien Quadrilogy, which I will review these movies one day. I really do love Alien. I'm a very big Alien fan, especially the original movie, especially. I love most of the sequels, especially Aliens. Aliens is great, and I love Alien 3. I'm not crazy about Resurrection. And then as for these two, we'll talk about that eventually, but as for these two right here, I do enjoy Alien Covenant and Prometheus for their own reasons. Again, I'll get into that eventually. Maybe I'll probably review those, or maybe especially Prometheus. I'll do that, that one on its own, because honestly, that movie to me, Prometheus feels like its own thing. Like it feels, it stands, it's more of a standalone thing, but not really, because some of the lore and stuff that is set up in that movie does get tied back to, even in Alien Romulus. So I'm not really going to spoil anything. Again, I really won't go into much detail on really, much about anything about it. I just kind of want to give my first impressions of it. So, it is directed by Fede Alvarez. I believe this is how you say his name. If you don't know who he is, he directed the 2013 Evil Dead, Don't Breathe. He also did the 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I like two of those movies. I like Evil Dead and I like Don't Breathe. A lot of people kind of shit on Don't Breathe. A lot of people I know anyway shit on Don't Breathe, and but I liked it. I thought it was good. I did not like the 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I don't really remember any of the actors' names in it. So I apologize for that. But I did like the cast. I thought it was a really good cast of characters. They were all really good actors, and they all felt very, I don't really want to say real, but they suited their roles just fine to me. I didn't have problems with anybody. The only person I really did have an issue with at first, but then they kind of explained it in the plot, and it made me not, it made it not as much of a problem, was there is a synthetic in the movie. So if you're familiar with Alien, it's an android, like Ash or Bishop. But there is a synthetic in this movie. At first, I didn't really care for him just because I thought he was being too, like, synthetic, you know what I mean? Like, acting too synthetic. But then they kind of explain it in the story. Like, it has something to do in the story. So, that I was like, oh, okay, that makes a little bit of sense. So that was really the only time that I was really like, but again, it was kind of, it was kind of solved, I suppose, in my own little head. But anyway, the basic plot of this movie, I will give kind of a rundown. It's basically about these people that live on this planet, and they want off this planet for one reason or another. So they kind of have this heist to go to. I believe it's like a derelict space station that's floating in the rings, above the rings of this planet that they're on, and they're going to go up there to get, I believe it's a thing to use basically so they can go into cryo sleep, because they want to go somewhere else. That's going to take, they're going to have to go through a cryo sleep to get there. So I thought that plot was really cool, but it was kind of rushed into, like, a lot of stuff just happened really, really quickly, and I get that because they had to set that up, and I'm not really complaining about that. That wasn't really a problem. It's just once they did get into it and get into what they were doing, it was like I felt like they just went through it really quickly. But the thing that I think was really cool is I love the setting. I mean, if you know me, I'm a big fan of space movies, low budget ones, high budget ones, whatever you want to call it. I do love any kind of movie that takes place, especially sci-fi horror. I should clarify that. I mainly like space horror films. I'm not a big fan of 2001: A Space Odyssey. I like it for what it is, and I appreciate it for what it is. But it's one that I don't really go back to. But I go back to Alien time and time again. Forbidden World, that's an old Roger Corman kind of movie. Galaxy of Terror, that's a really low budget kind of shitty movie. Pandorum is another one that I enjoy. Those are just a few, just off the top of my head that I can think of. So like I said, a shitty B sci-fi, sci-fi horror, or a very, big budget film, I enjoy it, so I did like that setting. It basically takes place on an abandoned space station. And they kind of set up a little bit of kind of what happened, and basically, there is, for one reason or another, again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there is an alien on board. So I thought it was really neat that they were kind of going back to, especially in the beginning, they're kind of going back to their roots, sort of. So, like, most of the movie, again, I don't want to spoil anything or give too much away, but most of the movie there is just, it's very much like the original film. It's one alien stalking the crew, or at least, you think it is, or whatever, you know what I mean, whatever but, and I love how they designed the alien. It looks very much like just like the big chap alien from, the first movie, they did the design great. It looked amazing. It was actually scary. Again, I thought the alien was very creepy, and they don't show it much, which is very brave, because by this point, hell, the xenomorph is on the cover of Alien Covenant. We all know what a xenomorph looks like, at this point. But I thought it was awesome, and I really appreciated the fact that they did not just throw the xenomorph in your face, especially again for the first good half or so of the movie. They really didn't, they didn't just, he wasn't out in the open, and there wasn't a lot of, it was still in the shadows. It was very dark. Again, very reminiscent of the first movie, which I really, really appreciate. And also the set was really, really cool. I love how they have replicated the old futuristic technology, because they kind of did away with that in Prometheus, which I didn't like. Like everything, if you've seen them, you know what I'm talking about. But in Prometheus, the technology that they use, I know that they're far into the future and everything's supposed to be advanced. But if you've seen the original Alien, which came out, in the 70s, that was futuristic for then. It's a retro futuristic look. I don't know how to describe it, but I love that style. And Alien Covenant kind of does it. They did it fine. They did it much better than Prometheus did. I didn't have a lot of complaints with Alien Covenant. There was a few, as far as their technology and the I guess you would say the canon of their technological advances. I didn't have a lot of problems with that, but in this movie, in Alien Romulus, I feel like they nailed it on the head. It really felt like the only thing it was really missing is I think if it would have been shot with some grain or something like that, or anything, it could have, you could have fooled me thinking that this was, they went, to a T to design everything to really fit into the universe. And that's one thing I really love about this movie, is whereas Prometheus is it feels like it's tacked on after, of course. Alien Covenant, again, also feels like it's tacked on after, even though they're prequels. But this movie really feels like it fits the series. It fits in there, and it takes place between Alien and Aliens. So I feel, and a lot of times when they do stuff like that, they screw it up. The one off the top of my head I can think of is Last Voyage of the Demeter. That movie's based on one chapter from the book from Dracula. Which again, if you've read Dracula, which I have, it's a very small little part, and just the way that they did that movie, I felt like they kind of screwed that up a little bit, and that happens a lot. Again, I'm not going to give that away either. I'll probably do a review of that, because I do love that movie, but I just felt like some things could have been different. But they didn't. I don't feel like they did that with Romulus. I feel like they wrapped it up really well. I feel like it fits. There wasn't anything that was too much or unneeded. Another thing that I didn't, that I will say that I didn't care for, if we're just being negative, I guess. But the other thing is there is a lot of fan service in this movie, which some of it I appreciate, but some of it I don't. Like, especially like some of the line delivery, like whenever the synthetic guy, again, I don't remember the actor's name. I don't remember any of the actors' names off the top of my head, but whenever he quotes a line from Aliens, and I mean, I'll just give it away. I'm sorry if this is a spoiler or anything, but he says, get away from her, you bitch. And just when he did it, I was like, it was just kind of a cringe moment. But there was a few other, kind of Easter eggs or callbacks that I was like, okay, I appreciate that. Like, I don't mind that very much. And I'm somebody that it doesn't bother me much unless they just kind of go overboard with it. Like, if they're like cramming it down your throat, like I hate that. The new Star Wars, the new Star Wars trilogy, that's a prime example of that shit. Them just forcing the what am I trying to say? The fan service, basically, spoon feeding you fan service. I hate that. I don't mind it being there if it's just there in the background, a little line here, or you see, But anyway, I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic. That's a completely different topic for another day. But anyway, I guess final thoughts on. One more thing I'll say. I'm sorry. I did really like. Speaking of the synthetic, excuse me. The synthetic actor, the guy who plays the synthetic, I should say, he's not a synthetic actor, but that guy, I actually really did like his performance as a synthetic. I enjoyed that a lot. I thought he played it really well. There were some scenes where he wasn't really, again, I don't want to, I'm not going to give anything away, but there were some scenes where he kind of gave me the creeps a little bit, just like in the original movie, Ash even gave me the creeps sometimes, but I just liked that. He played that part very well. Like I said, all the actors I thought did just fine. I didn't have an issue with anybody. The creature looks amazing. There is some CGI, but they did it really well. It's a great mix of practical and CGI. This movie, Alien Romulus, is a prime example of how to do that now. I feel so. Anyway, if you get the chance, definitely check it out. I do love Alien Romulus. I would say I would honestly like to go see it again. To be honest with you, but maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll see. It's a great theater movie, so absolutely see it in the theaters, 100%. I'm definitely going to get it whenever it comes out on physical media. I will absolutely pick it up 100%. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that review. I'm not going to give it a rating. I'll do that whenever I rate it later. I would like to watch it again, but for now, I'm just going to say it is a good movie. I do highly recommend it, and I'll see you, next time. Maybe we'll talk about Alien sometime soon, since it's fresh on my mind. So anyway, have a great day. Hope you enjoyed this. Goodbye.